Restaurant Unstoppable. What the most successful restaurateurs know that you don't. And with excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest. He is the founder and CEO of Ovation, Zack Oates. My man, Zack, are you feeling unstoppable today?
Oh, I'm feeling good, Eric. Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, thanks for being here. I'm super psyched. I know this is going to be a valuable conversation. But before we get into it, why don't we get that motivational, inspirational ball rolling with a success quote or mantra? What do you got for us?
My life mission is the thing that I do. I mean, I say this to myself every single day, which is choose to live an extraordinary life, for an ordinary one will always be waiting. Eric, you could always go and do something ordinary, but today, man, choose something extraordinary.
Dude,
Why not?
Great way to get this thing started. And obviously, so you're here today because I've been getting a lot of requests in the network from people just asking me to do more content around marketing, but specifically around SMS marketing or text message marketing. And today, you're here to dive into that. You're here because a bunch of people in my network have been referring me to you. Rory Balkin, David Reb Giancho, David Scott Peters. I know these are all people that you're working with. I know oh man, Bruce Irving, I think since.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Bruce is my boy.
Yes,
love Bruce.
Everyone on my network is saying that Zack is the guy to talk to when it comes to SMS marketing and just text message marketing in general. You're also the founder of Ovation. We're not getting so much into that today, but I have a feeling there might be something on the horizon. So a little teaser. But for now, why don't you just give us a little bit of an overview of who you are and why we should be listening to you? What makes you an expert on this subject? Speaking of Rory, she's about to join us.
Oh, cool. Love Rory. Well, first of all, I grew up in the restaurant space. This is where, as a kid, this was my first job in high school. Obviously, like a lot of Americans, my dad, after he retired from the NFL, he got into the restaurant space, was an investor and an owner in a barbecue joint. And so I grew up with this service mentality. I grew up seeing all of this happen firsthand and what it takes to be successful in the hospitality space. And then I went on and I did startups, right? I did 3 different startups. I was able to even ring the NASDAQ bell. I won the world's biggest business competition. And I learned a lot about how to build technology, how to build movements, how to find problems. And one of the problems that just kind of kept on coming up over and over and over again in my life as a foodie was the lack of interaction between a guest and a restaurant. And so anyway, built Ovation, which is an actual guest feedback platform. But as part of that, we do a lot of texting. I mean, millions and millions of text messages we send out. And so we've learned a thing or two. You can't send out that many text messages and not learn something. So we've helped thousands of people send out millions and millions of text messages. And so basically what I've done is I've actually gotten together with a team, and we put together some facts, some points, some things that we have seen really help restaurants to get a great ROI out of texting, as opposed to just kind of a pipe dream.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be covering today, specifically why texting, how to stay compliant, what should the text message say, when to send a text message, how to track your ROI, how to build a database, and what other ways you can use text messaging are going to be the bulleted things we're going to cover today. So why don't we just get into it, man? Why texting?
So first of all, texting, a lot of people think texting is like, that's all I need to do. I just need to do texting. Well, it's like, texting is an incredibly important tool in an arsenal of communication. Okay, let's think about this, Eric. You're throwing a party, okay? This party is going to happen in a few weeks, and you want to let like a bunch of, you want this to be a huge party, right? You're going to send out an email to a bunch of people, let them know, hey, next week, there's going to be a party, right? Facebook is a great way to put it out there to get people who maybe aren't in your sphere to find out about the party. But if you're having a party and you want to make sure that your like 20 best friends come and it's that day, what are you going to do? Are you going to send them an email?
No.
Are you going to Facebook message them? Are you going to put a post?
I mean,
No,
I would probably call them, but I'm old fashioned. But
there.
majority of people would probably send out a text blast.
Right? And just send a text message to your friends. I mean, for example, in college, I used to host a dinner every single Sunday, and I had 40 people that I invited. Right? And so every Sunday morning, or sorry, every Saturday evening, I would text them and say, "Hey, here's the theme of tomorrow's potluck," and and that was how we got the word out, because it's just the easiest way to communicate to people, because it is the most actionable way, the most actionable form of communication that there is on the market.
Yeah. And then like one of the things that listening to you talk about is you first went with email, and people say email is like gold. Your list is you're only as valuable as your list. And the same is true to a phone number. Your email and your phone number are the two things that most people don't change, or they change the least often throughout their lifetime. So Facebook, Instagram, uh, you name it, social platform, LinkedIn, whatever it might be, Clubhouse could come and go, and you lose that list when these platforms die off. But you'll never lose your Rolodex. You'll never lose those emails. You'll never lose those phone numbers.
Exactly. And I think that, I have never been a proponent of like kill the email, because email serves a purpose. It's just a matter of, do you want something to happen today, or do you just want to remind people, right? For example, texting is not the time to let people know about catering, right? Hey, by the way, we do catering. That's not a text message. A text message should be actionable and pithy. An email, you can kind of build a little bit more around it. That's where you remind people about things. That's where you let people know, hey, the theme for this month's menu is this, as if you have changing menus, because a text message has a 98% open rate. Email, we know, has about a 20% open rate if you have a decent list. And also, if you look at the action, if you send out a link in a text message, 19% of people are going to click on that link. In email, it's less than 2%. It's like 1 to 2% of a decent
I'm
email.
gonna pat myself in the back right now. I got a 30% open rate.
Dude, 30% open. But I mean, like, think about that though, Eric. How curated is your email list, right? You've got a very specific email list with people who know exactly what to expect. You've built this over years. So a 30% email rate is fantastic. And that's something that you've worked towards,
Yeah.
right? But still, it's like people. So the question is, why then do people tend to do more email than text message? And for the majority of people, the reason is texting is a very personal thing. And they feel like, I don't want to invade my customer's personal space. Okay. I will tell you the same thing that I told one of my ex-girlfriends who broke up with me because she didn't want to hurt my feelings because she wasn't sure how she felt about me. Like, let me decide how I feel about you. Like, give me the option. If I'm a customer and I want to give you my phone number and I want to hear from you, shoot, talk to me.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to be the most engaging way to get me to communicate with you.
So, and plus, I think it's legally you have to give people the option to opt out, right? Just like email, unsubscribe, just like text message, respond no or whatever it is to stop getting these text messages. So you're not trapping them.
No, no. And that's the thing, right? Is every single message, we have a part of our text message that cannot be edited. You cannot take it off where it says reply stop to opt out.
Yeah.
Every single message. But at the end of the day, we have customers where they send out a message and it drives $2,000 to $3,000 in additional revenue that day,
Yeah.
right? So this is one of those things where a lot of people, they're scared because it's personal. They're scared because there's regulations. They're scared because they don't know necessarily what to say. But I'll tell you what, by the end of this conversation, I plan on knocking out all those concerns for you because, and again, I don't care who you use. I just want you to understand the power of texting and that we have seen it over and over and over again with our restaurant clients. They use texting, they drive revenue.
Yeah. And I don't want to cut you short. I mean, we're covering right now why texting. I think you drove home the points. Anything you haven't mentioned about that question, why texting?
I mean, other than the fact that if in nationwide studies, texting is the most preferred method of communication with customers.
Mm.
And when I say most, not by like 10%, but two times more likely, they 2 times more preferred than email or Facebook or apps. So it is the preferred method of communication when I think it's because it's the easiest thing to do,
Yeah.
right? Like if I'm sitting there, I don't want to type out my whole email.
Yeah.
And if I actually care to hear from that brand, I don't want it to go to my email because, I have so many emails that just go right to spam. And so if I want to hear, I give my phone number.
Yeah. And I think I'm gonna cut you short. I apologize if I did. Do you know what you were about to say?
Oh, no, 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 go ahead. That's exactly,
Yeah.
just wrapping up the why texting thing. I think it's just, it's a easy button to drive revenue and it's not hard to do it right.
Yeah. And I mean, when I think of texting, and I know you can go into your phone, you can change the settings on your phone, but most people, the default setting on their phone is a push notification when you get a text. So it's usually a push. So you're gonna get the pop up in your home screen, you're gonna get a vibration, you're gonna get a noise. I mean, email does that too. I don't know about you, but I shut my email up. I
Oh, yeah.
don't have that. So that push is like just as good as a phone call. It's gonna people are gonna get that message.
And they really, what's cool about texting is a lot of times you get the message twice because it buzzes and I see the preview on my phone, on my watch or whatever, and then I open it up on my phone, or it buzzes and I see it pops up on my phone and then I read it.
Yeah.
And so you get a chance to really hit them twice with what the message is, especially because it's so short.
I think we drove home the why to text messaging. But let's get into how to stay compliant.
So, first of all, I just want to preface this by saying I took one law class in college on mass communications.
Lawyer. Disclaimer. Heard.
This is in no way legal advice, although I have paid thousands and thousands of dollars to lawyers to make sure that we're compliant and how to teach our customers to be compliant. Um, so, one thing that's really interesting is that if somebody gives you their phone number for the purpose of doing business, right, and they have not opted into the specific verbiage to receive messages from you, you are not allowed to send them marketing messages, even if they give you their phone number. But but you are allowed to send them transactional text messages. So, how was your experience? Things like that. So these types of communication are totally fine, um, but no marketing messages. So the important thing is if there is anywhere that you are collecting someone's phone number, you want to make sure that you have the appropriate verbiage on the card, that you send them the follow-up text message, let them know what's going on, that you are able to let them know that you're going to send them follow-up marketing messages.
Okay,
So
so
that's really important to
little
remember.
little card. So like you have cards, maybe you have cards out on the counter of your restaurant. People can grab those cards, fill out their phone number and their email, drop the card in a box. That physical card needs to have the disclaimer, is what you're saying.
Yes. So, I mean, here's like a blown up version of like a drop bag, and you see in the bottom there's all that verbiage on the bottom that just lets them know exactly what they're agreeing to, by giving you their phone number.
Side note, this podcast is also on YouTube. So if you want to see the image of what Zach just shared with us, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Little plug. So there.
Yeah, there.
Uh,
And we'll get into a little bit later on about different ways to build your database and how to do that. But what's really important to remember is just because someone gave you their phone number doesn't mean you could send them a marketing message.
okay. So what about the same thing online too? If it's like a landing page, you just have to have that text. Wherever you're capturing the data, there needs to be a disclaimer.
Yes, you need to let them know that you're going to send them marketing messages from whom, and if you can, how often.
Got it. What else?
Um, well, I think in terms of what you're doing, never ever buy phone numbers. Okay, if someone comes to you trying to sell you a list of customers, don't buy it. It's not worth it. That's where people get really frustrated when they get unsolicited messages. Now, if I give you my number and there's the proper verbiage on there, that's fine. But make sure that if you're uploading lists, that they're your customers and that you have what's called that you've received express written consent from your customers before you send them a marketing message.
Okay. So you also mentioned that we're allowed to follow up. So I just want to make sure that's clear. So I've done this before, and I actually kind of was like, oh crap, should I have done that? And I realized I think I'm okay. On my email list, I've seen people like unsubscribe, and if I see an unsubscribe, I'll write them like, hey, I'm sorry to see you go. If you ever have any feedback of what I could have done to add more value to your life, I'm all for it. That's allowed.
Yes. Yep.
But what's not allowed is what I just said. Oh, and if you're interested, I'm launching a course next week. Why don't you come join?
Exactly.
That's
Yep.
not,
That's exactly right. Is you could say, hey, how was your order? Hey, your delivery is on its way, or something like that. But to it has to be about that transaction.
yeah. So it can't be, hey, why did you leave our email list? What could we have done to keep you around? Oh, by the way, we're running a promotion next week.
Yep. Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
I want to clarify that.
Yeah, and just it's one of those things, Eric, where it's like, if you're being smart about it, just does it feel fishy? How would you feel if someone texted you and you didn't give them your phone number? Or if they started sending you marketing messages and you didn't ask them for it? It's like, if it feels sketchy, just don't do it.
Yeah. I'm thinking like,
Aside from the TCPA compliance, it's just like being a good steward of customer data.
intrusive, right?
You what?
Don't be intrusive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
got it. So I think that kind of wraps up the compliance. Let me know if there's anything we did not mention.
Well, nothing that I could think of off the top of my head that would. I would say make sure that you talk to your own attorneys about it, and there are attorneys that specialize in TCPA compliance. But honestly, there is so much out there and I have to say that. But I would say that if you're just getting started, just read up about it online, and or work with a company that already has all this stuff figured out for you.
Got it. All right. So next on our list of topics to cover, what should the text message say?
Okay, there's two things I want you to remember about this: clear, concise. So, we have. Let me share with you a text message that got our customer a 20% redemption rate. All right. Now, 20% redemption rate is very high. We're not talking open. We're talking, these are people that came in the door because of this text message they sent out. Right? Here's the text message. I'll read it to you. $5 burritos, exclamation mark, today and tomorrow only, period. Then it said sent from the company, and then reply stop to opt out. That was the message. That was it. It had a link. It had a link in it to redeem that $5 burrito. But that was the whole thing. It wasn't some, oh, hey there, partner. This is Texas Pete's, taco shop here to tell you about our specials. Like, no. $5 burrito today, tomorrow only. Here's the link. Sent from business. Reply stop to opt out.
So it's short and sweet, direct is to the point.
Yes. Now, a lot of people, one thing about content is a lot of people ask about MMS, which is like picture messages. Now, data doesn't show that there's any higher of an open rate. And I personally don't have any data that shows that it's a much higher redemption rate. It is much more engaging. So you can, put in a picture in there, but it is a little bit more expensive, right? So a lot of places will charge you buy a text credit. So you send one text and it's an SMS, or if you add a picture, it'll be either 2 or 3 credits depending on the company.
Yeah.
So anyway, picture messages are great to kind of get a feel for that. I can't speak to the effectiveness of the ROI. It's just a matter of like experiment with that yourself.
Have you ever seen people get creative? I don't know why this is popping into my mind right now, but what's that talk show? The Whose Line Is It Anyway? It was not whose line is it anyway, but it's the same. What's his Wayne?
Wayne Brady.
Yeah, but what's his new show? What's his new show? Think I'm like, costumes, everybody dresses up. You know what I'm talking. People are listening. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That show, at the end of the show, they always have like if you follow them on Instagram, to bring like a key or a watch or something that's on the insider. And if you bring that to the stage, if you bring that to the show, you can get cash at the end. So I'm curious, could you like have some kind of like list that where you're like, hey, I'm going to send a picture of monkey or something, or like a banana. I don't know why I'm thinking of these things, a tree, whatever it is. If you know what the code is, like then you get like a special offer that day. Is there anything that people get creative with, like for like an insider list, or is that just like way too much? Is that too much? Is that an example of overdoing it?
I have never seen something like that. I mean, it may work. I think part of the problem though is, and we'll talk about this in a little bit though, is the the
Like
ability to track.
sorry, the
No, no,
ability.
you're good. But I think it really comes down to like the ability to track things, but it's also about the brand, right? So I'm not saying that every single text message needs to be that short and without any kind of brand personality. You could totally put in brand personality or put in someone's first name, but the general anatomy of a very successful text is that starts off with what's in it for me. So that way, when I look at the preview on my Apple Watch or on my phone, I see exactly what it is, a $5 burrito. It's like, oh, okay, that's a pretty good deal. And then the second thing that's really important to put in there is the window. How long do I have to take action? And what we found is the best case scenario, or the best thing to do is a 2-day window. We see about 75% of redemptions happen that the first day. The day you send it out, you'll get 75% of the redemptions. You'll get about 20% day two, 5% day three, if that. So it's very heavily weighted to today. And
Yeah,
so, but just make sure, like, don't send out a message for next week, is what I'm saying, right? Send it
data.
a message for something about today and or tomorrow.
Is there any data or information out there as to like science or human behavior as to why that's the case?
Well, I mean, just think of the nature of a text message. I get 40 text messages a day, and so a text message comes in, and then I read it, and then I'm either going to take action on it or not.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know about you, but like if I don't have time right then to respond to someone's text message, I just leave it unread until I like get to it later on that night as I'm like laying in bed going to sleep. Like, oh, let me get to my text
Yeah.
messages. You know, and so texting, it's a cup of water in the face kind of thing where you get it and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And so you have the ability to grab their attention right then and have them take action right then. And if they can't take action right then it tends to get forgotten.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of evidence to show whenever you create a sense of urgency in marketing, whether it's anything, if you put, even if it's not true, but you put like a date on it, like you create that sense of urgency, then people are just much more likely to act.
Yeah. And one of the things that we've seen too is that there's, to your point of, hey, what if you did like a picture messages of a monkey or a banana or of a tree? Seems like you've been like watching Discovery Channel lately.
I have
Um,
actually, I want to use the chimps. Like yeah, that's exactly. Thank you for helping me crack that code. That makes sense.
It's so funny because last night I was watching this Instagram of like a chimp that was running up and seeing its like, human mom and dad after years. And anyway, it was one of those like tear jerkers. Um, but the thing is that you could experiment with texting. It really isn't that expensive. Sure, it's more expensive than email in terms of per send, but it's not that expensive. Like you can try it out and test and see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so I think that wraps up what should the text say.
Mhm.
We're back, and the next topic we're going to cover is when to send the text. So up to this point, we've covered why texting, how to stay compliant, what should the text say, and now when to send the text.
So it depends. If you're looking to do something that is around a lunch and dinner thing, then you want to send it in the late morning, 10 to 10:30. If you're doing something that's only for dinner, then you could send it around 5 to 6. Although we have seen a much lower redemption rate of that 5 to 6 to the point earlier of they're going to take action that day. So if you send out a $5 burrito today, tomorrow only at 10 o'clock to 10:30, then they're sitting there thinking, oh, maybe I do want that for lunch, or maybe they have lunch planned and they're like, oh, well, let me grab some burritos on the way home from work or whatever. So you have the highest opportunity to help them make a plan right then at 10:30 in the morning for lunch or dinner that day. So, and it's not too early, and it's not pushing up towards that lunch time where they've already made their decision. So that's what we find to be the most successful time to send it. Now, in terms of how often to send the text message, this is a highly debated topic of how many text messages is too many. Well, I think it really depends on, are they signing up for a weekly text message? Are they signing up for even a daily text message? We have people that text message their customers daily, and they say that got them through the pandemic. If it wasn't for that daily text message, there's no way that they'd still be open. So, but their customers knew what to expect from that. So, if you don't have a specific text club, then we recommend usually around twice a month. If your customers are expecting more, then it's okay to send them more.
Okay. What about breakfast operations? Say we're just breakfast only.
So for breakfast, we haven't done anyone that's only breakfast. A lot of times what our breakfast folks will do is at the end of the day before they close, they've sent out messages of like, hey, we have, here's the last of what we've got left for the day. Come in and get it, uh, kind of like for an early lunch. And that's worked really successfully. If you are sending out something for breakfast, maybe you send it out the night before, because you don't want to, again, it all has to do with the mindset of the consumer. When is that guest going to make the plans for what you want them to do? And so if you send it to them in the morning, they probably already have their breakfast plans. And if you send it to them too early, then you risk irritating people. And by the way, going back to compliance, there are state guidelines of when you are and are not allowed to send people text messages. So you got to make sure that you stay compliant there as well, because if you send it too early, you can, potentially have some issues on your hands.
And I think you did mention for dinner, was it like 4:30 is what you said?
Yeah, like 5 to 6 is what we found to
Okay.
be pretty earlier in the fives.
You want to catch people when they're like, before they've made their decision, but also when they're hungry and and like you can trigger that, like it's time to eat.
Exactly. Yep. And get them, they're starting to feel something like, oh, I'm getting kind of hungry. And then boom, they get a text message. And it hits you perfectly. And these are things that we've, verified with, as we're looking at when do the big boys send out messages and push notifications, it coincides with this as well.
Got it. Okay. So this is a huge question. How do we track our return on investment? Everybody wants to know, what's the ROI?
And that's one of the cool things about texting, is that you can get if you have the right program, you can get a great ROI. So one of the big mistakes that a lot of people make with texting is they'll say, show this text to get a free whatever, to get a free churro, to get a BOGO. Don't do that. That is the worst way to decide if you are getting a great ROI. And the reason is because, one, the person at the till can just, push the button as many times as they want if they know that's happening that day. So they can invite in their friends or whatever. And we see that happen often. But more so, it's that you can send that text message and forward that on to a whole bunch of people. So now a bunch of people are getting that BOGO, which is fine, except for the fact that, one, you don't have their information, so you can't send them other messages. And two, is it messes up with your redemption rate. So you don't know how successful the campaign was. And so you can't test for other variables. So we have seen campaigns sent out that are very bad that get a 1% redemption rate. We've seen campaigns that are great that get over a 20% redemption rate. So it has to do with tracking it. The way that we found to be most effective is either with unique codes that you're not sending out in the text message, but a unique code that you're sending out through a link. So the text message should have a link that people can click on, and it will either take them to a unique code or it will take them to an expiring code.
Okay.
And so that way they can only see that code, they show it to the, 5, 10, 15 minutes, they show it to the cashier, they type in that code at the register. And, that's how Burger King, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, that's how a lot of those bigger guys do it. But if those unique codes is also a fantastic way to make sure that people aren't abusing the system. And then you can track when that has actually been redeemed on the till. And so that way, with your point of sale, you can tie that up with a texting platform to really see how successful was it. Should we try it at a different time? Should we try a different message, a different offer? And especially as you're looking to test things out, go aggressive, go very aggressive early on, because that's when you're going to have the lowest number of people in your database. And so if you give someone, a $5 off, a $10 purchase, something pretty aggressive, then you can actually start to get a feel for what to send, what's working. And then you're only going to have 5, 10 people come in and redeem it if you've got, 50 to 100 customers in your database. So I think that's something that's really important to remember, is just don't have it be a flip around, show this text, have it be a clickable link that then you could track what that is. And one other thing I would say about ROI is there are great, easy ways to improve that ROI by segmenting your customers.
And that's probably the next, you're setting me up for the next bullet with how to create a database. But before we get into that, I'm curious. I did have a question that I wrote down at the bottom as far as what technology we can use to leverage to do this. Because how do you just send a text that has a link that you can track? Like, I know Ovation, I'm sure they probably have solutions for this, but say we're not ready for Ovation. Maybe we don't have the budget. Maybe we're just getting started, right? We don't really know what our cash flow is going to be. What are some of the tools out there that you would recommend people use that gives them the ability to have a clickable link within a text?
I know that, Slick Text, Easy Text, Send Text, these are 3 platforms that we've seen great feedback from of people who are looking for, a solo text solution, right? As you talked about with Ovation, we do texting and feedback, right? But people who are saying, hey, I just want a texting solution, those are ones that some of our customers use, and they're great. And I think that all of those solutions have the ability to do that. But as you're looking at other companies, as I said, so Slick Text, Easy Text, Send Text, as you're looking at companies to do that, to start and to test out texting, because almost every company, including Ovation, is going to let you try stuff out. With texting, it's one of those frontiers where you can still get a limited quantity of text messages and try things out. But pretty much everyone, make sure that whatever platform you go to, that they have the ability to send a trackable link, so you can really get a hold of that ROI.
Those
And
Slick Text, Send Text, Easy Text all provide that option.
yes, I believe so. I'm very confident that they do, because this is just, foundational to the success of a texting campaign.
Now, do they provide data associated with that too? So like or is that, and do these tie to your POS system?
Some of them will, and some of them, obviously right now there are like 900 different point of sale systems out there. So I know that there's a lot of us that we will do integrations to point of sales based on customer demand. And I'm sure a lot of those companies would do the same as well. So as a customer comes to us and wants to do a texting campaign or texting platform, and they've got a specific point of sale, then great. We could talk about that and see what we could do to integrate there, because everyone's looking to integrate. That's the way the technology is going right now in the restaurant space, is how do you get the best of breed of each technology that all talks to each other?
Yeah. And a side note, a little plug for my friends over at Bbot. I don't know if you know the folks over there, but they're doing some really cool stuff. The vision of that company to be able to, they want to create the foundation, the framework to have restaurateurs do a whole DIY where you can develop your own API and like literally build the solutions for your own restaurant, which sounds like that's the future of the industry. Like this ability, like everybody's a coder now. So like,
yeah,
what's happening out there. They're really
yeah.
the lead at that. So
and Steve over there at Bbot, they're great partners of ours, and we love working with them. We've been integrated with them, for quite a while now, since pretty much since we both opened up our APIs, we were one of the first companies to integrate with Bbot because I saw what they were doing. And like you, I love it. I'm on the bandwagon. I'm fully supportive of them and their vision. And I think that that's where the future is. It's Kelly McPherson, who's our lead advisor. She's the former CIO of Burger King, Popeyes, Tim Hortons, and she ran Micros and Planet Hollywood and Hard Rock Cafe. She's just total rock star. And that's, they both share that same vision, which is there needs to be a way where it's a hub and spoke model where you don't have to sacrifice on the quality of a certain type of technology because all the technologies can communicate together.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing, because if you go with someone who tries to do everything, you get nothing that's great, right?
Absolutely. All right. So you kind of teased already, but what's really great when tracking the ROI is being, or I don't know how we got into it, but you mentioned being able to segment was the kind of the teaser into building a database to get into it.
Yeah, totally. So as you're looking at different ways to segment your customers, you can segment by, some of the big ways are satisfaction. How happy were they with their last visit? And you want to send, you could send customers messages that are really happy, or send, people messages who weren't. Where they ordered, right? You want to make very specific location specific text messages are huge, especially because then you could say it's a rainy day, come in for soup or whatever like that. And you want to make sure it goes to the right people. You can send them messages based on when they order. If you see that someone only comes in for lunch and they come in every Thursday for lunch, send them a message on a Friday or on a Saturday morning, inviting them in on the weekends for dinner and bring their family. Or if you see someone that only comes in the weekends, invite them in the weekday to come in for a business lunch. So there's ways that you can segment your customers there. And one of the great ways to do that is with keywords. So we work with a nationwide Mexican company, a Mexican restaurant, and they text their customers will text in churros to join their text list, and then they know that is a group of customers who get a weekly text message. They're opting in for that weekly text message to get deals and updates and things like that, because it's specifically a text list for those people who are interested in getting those messages. They've opted in, and for doing so, they get a free order of churros, right?
Okay.
And so those keywords are a great way to segment your customers. So for example, we have another one who had a big banner at a huge parade, and it said, text pizza to this number to get a $5 discount. And then he knows that those are all the people that were at the parade. So he could send them a specific message. He could include them in with everyone else, but he could send them a specific message as well to make it a much more personal, engaging message for them.
So the key word is the word that people are texting to you to say that they're interested. So the first step is finding something of interest that you think might be interesting, and then say, text that word to me if you're interested in this, and then that would be, now you're on the segmented list. What are some of the examples that people use to pique interest? Is it like a menu item, or is it what is it like?
So
Keyword is
there's a
on the list, but like, what enticing things are people doing?
so there is a well, there's some funny stuff too, right? Like there's a large celebrity brand that we work with who they're really focused around marijuana, right? So it was text lit to this number and get a free order of fries and join our text list. And so these are things that, that could be kind of fun to do. A couple things to remember about keywords is, one, you want to keep it as short as possible. And two is, if you're doing something with a short code, because there's basically three types of numbers that you can have. You can have a local number, a toll-free number, or a short code. Right now, with a short code, you have a lot of limitations with keywords, because you're sharing those keywords with a bunch of you're sharing that short code with a bunch of other people, right? So it's kind of like a website where you got to get in there and make sure that you get your .com domain. Um, so the
Is
short
there
codes
a website you can go to see if your word has been taken?
So it just depends on who owns that short code. So texting companies will have a few different short codes typically, and they don't have very many because they're very expensive to own a short code. But you have a short code, and then they will rent out certain keywords. And so you can buy the keyword of churros or churros dash one. But the key is you want to make it really short. With local numbers, one of the issues that we've seen with texting is that local numbers tend to get caught in spam a little bit easier. And part of the reason is because those numbers will get recycled. So as soon as a number, someone will use a number through a service like Twilio, which allows people to buy phone numbers and text message from them. And when they send out, as soon as they will abuse it and get caught in spam, then they'll take that phone number and get a new phone number.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of those old phone numbers that you may get stuck with. So uh, the local number, while it looks good because it's like, hey, I'm a local person, like I want to use a local number, you're going to run into deliverability issues. We found toll-free numbers to be that sweet spot of you can own your own toll-free number, use any keyword that you want, and not get caught in spam. But it is a little bit longer. If someone wants to text in a keyword, you've got to text in 877-522-60, whatever. Like you have to text that whole number, the keyword. But we found there's still a lot of people who will do that. And we find a very high rate of success there.
Got it. Anything else on how to build a database that we should know about?
QR codes. Oh, Eric, dude, the thing I love to tell people is that QR codes are back, baby. They're back like baggy pants and boy bands, man.
Baggy pants aren't back.
They will be. But it's like use those QR codes. It is so easy. And you could actually pre-populate. So instead of having someone text in churros, one of the things that we do is we have a QR code. When they scan that QR code, it automatically opens up a text message to that phone number with the word churros in there. And all they have to do is scan the QR code and hit send. It's that easy. So use QR codes. It's really, really simple. And we've also had a lot of success in getting people to opt in through taking a survey.
Can you give me?
Hey,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Can you give me an example of the order of operation from like where somebody's putting this QR code with the intent of the whole process behind it and like what it looks like from start to finish?
Yeah. So let's say that you walk into you walk into the fast casual Mexican restaurant. You sit down at the table and there's a flyer that says get a free order of churros. Text churros to this number or scan this QR code. And when you scan that QR code, it pops up the text message that says churros, or you actually type in the phone number and you write churros and click send. And then the guest will get a follow-up text message saying you've been entered into our text list. You should expect to receive a message one time a week to 2 times a month. Here's the link to redeem your free order of churros. And then when they click on that link, they could redeem that. And it's through the same process like we talked about earlier of having that link as if it were a blast message. But this way that it just goes through, it's just an automated kind of message that comes back right from someone texting in churros. So that would be a way that they would opt in from a keyword. One of the ways that we see a lot of people opt in is by we'll have a table sticker. How was your experience? Let us know if 2 questions for your chance to win a $100 gift card. They scan it, they answer a couple of questions, and they type in their name and phone number with the appropriate verbiage to receive follow-up messages. And that's been an incredible way to get people to opt in to receive text messages. Now, that's why in that scenario where they're not opting into a daily or a weekly text text system, a text program, then I would say, that's where you want to send it out around 2 times a month.
Got it. So when I'm scanning this QR code on the table talker or the sticker that's on the table, and it automatically pulls up a text window to send the text. When you send the text, is that customer sending you that text, them giving you permission to capture their phone number for future communication? Or is there no?
Yes. So that's why you need to have like the right opt-in verbiage on the material that has the right opt-in verbiage on that material, and then they can get that follow-up message confirming that they are indeed going to receive that message. But every single one needs to have that reply stop to opt out.
Got it. Uh, so the only thing we have left to cover, unless I'm cutting you short on database, am I?
No, that was great.
Okay. What are the other ways to use texting that we have not covered yet?
So we talk, and we've talked about the one, we've touched on another, but if you think about it, there's actually three kinds of text messages. The first kind is the blast. That is what everybody thinks about. Of I'm going to send out a single text message to all these people, or I'm going to segment out these customers and send a message to this specific group of people. For example, you can have, at sports bars, you can have different text keywords for different games of like text Jazz to join us next time at the Jazz game. And then you can get those people and segment them out and send them a specific message before the Jazz game, letting them know about the specials of the night, right? So you could segment out and do the blast that way. The second way is the automated way, which is it's similar to the keyword, right? Where they text in churros and they'll get an automated message back. But you can also do really cool things. As someone orders and they give you permission to text them, what some of our customers will do is a week later, if they haven't ordered, they'll send them a text message saying, "Hey, this is Zach, the owner of Zach Shack. I just wanted to give you a free drink. Would love to see you come back sometime this week." You know, it's a very personalized but automated way to do that. Another one of our customers, anyone who had a 5 out of 5 experience, we send them a text message to automatically download their loyalty app. So that way they have another touch base with that customer, and that's something that was able to increase their downloads by 30%. So there's a lot of things that you can do to automate that, especially things like third to first party conversion. Text fries to get a free order of fries on your next order, and then send them a message to get them to order directly from you, and only put those bag stuffers in your third party delivery bags, right? So there are things that you can do to get people to come over. We've had some of our customers been able to convert 18% of their third party orders to order first party from them.
Wow.
So that's the automated text message. The last kind is the one-on-one texting. And this is something that a lot of times gets forgotten about because it is a little bit more manual, but you could do things like curbside pickup. Use texting for curbside pickup and let people text in when they're there. Because I know that on like apps and stuff, I have had so many issues of going and hitting curbside pickup. I've got my kids in the car, and then I gotta, 10 minutes later, unbuckle them, bring them into the restaurant and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like there's no confirmation there. So with texting, you can have this one-on-one back and forth to, a tablet. So it's an app for you, and then you can text them and let them know, "Hey, we're, getting your order ready, be out there in 5 minutes." Or you could do things like hiring. There's companies like Hire Me and Workstream that do a great job at utilizing text message to find talent. And then, guest satisfaction and retention. If people are unhappy, where are they going to go? Let them text you what went wrong. Don't find out about that on like, Yelp and Google. Resolve it in real time with that text conversation. And so you have the blast, the automated, and the one-on-one back and forth. And so those are like the three types of texting that there are. They're each used in different ways, but they all serve a purpose to drive revenue, drive retention, and drive that repeat guest visit that's so critical. And I think that is one thing, Eric, that texting does have a bad rap on, is that people always say, "Well, oh man, texting, all it's doing is like bringing people back. I want to get new customers in the door." Yes, everybody wants new customers, but guess what? You've spent so much time getting them there. man, get them back. It's 5 times more expensive to get a new person to walk through the door than to get someone that came in today to come back next week.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree with that. And this is a great spot to kind of leave a little bit of a teaser for our listeners. We do have future workshops coming up. Rory, who's here joining us today, is going to be joining David Rev. John, correct me if I'm saying his last name wrong.
Ciencio.
Ciencio.
Yeah. What's up, Rory?
Hey, Zach.
I think they're going to be specifically helping us with how to convert. You mentioned you can use the texting to convert people from these third party to the native ordering, right? So we're going to cover that as a teaser. And also, he might be a direct competitor of yours. I'm sorry if that's the case. But we have Matt Platt coming on to talk to us about how to really focus on developing that database. So we have a lot of really cool stuff happening around. This is a hot topic. So like I'm paying attention. I'm listening. I'm going to work for my network. You tell me what you want, I'll make it happen. So that's what's coming down the barrel. We're back, and I have a question. You already answered my question about what technology we can implement around this. You mentioned easy text, slick text. There was another one you mentioned. Any other technologies that we haven't mentioned that you put your stamp on approval before just diving into this?
Specifically for texting, or just like some of my favorite restaurant texts? Because this is,
I would say specifically for texting.
Those are the ones I would say that I've heard the most success stories from, and that they've been easy to use and great customer service. I think that, when it comes to texting, it's just about finding a platform that will let you get good deliverability rates, let you try things out. They have keywords, and you can track the ROI and segment your database. So if it has those 5 things, then texting has kind of been, quite frankly, Eric, a lot of texting has been commoditized, right? It's more of a utility now as opposed to a huge service, which is why there's companies, like Ovation, that we can do texting in addition to what we do, because our whole concept is we've got, we do something really well, but as a result of having all that data, we can now text. There are other companies like, as I said, Send Text, Slick Text, Easy Text, that do a great job and really focus on just that texting portion of it. But if it has those 5 attributes, then I say give it a shot. You know what I mean? Like you can't go wrong with a water company outside of Flint.
Drop those 5 attributes on us one more time.
Oh, well, let me see if I can. Let's see. Okay. So you need to be able to segment your customer database, collect customers, have a trackable ROI, use keywords, and get a trial to like test things out.
You're a boss. Awesome. All right, cool. So we have some hands up. The first one I think went up was Wes. So Wes, I'm going to lower your hand. You can go ahead and unmute your mic, and what you got?
Dude, first of all, Wes, I'm looking forward to hearing you when your volume comes on, but that hair looks good, man. That is some wispy beauty right there.
I'm not sure why we're not getting your audio, Wes. I apologize. I'm going to mute you and go to Brandon. Brandon, go ahead, lower your hand and unmute your mic.
What's up, Brandon?
Hey, what's up, man? So I love the idea of texting, man. I used to be like really against it on a personal level, but man, I'm digging it now. So any advice, suggestions on the busy independent operator that is looking to get into this space, or into texting their guests and having the conversations? I think more than anything, I don't want to spam my guests, man.
Yeah.
I want to increase that loyalty. I love that you said that, man. I want to increase those guests. I don't care about reaching new customers, man. I mean, as much as I want to keep the ones we have and like hold on to them, like appreciate them and value them. But it's getting started is like the most difficult thing, because I want it to be consistent. I want it, it to be on point all the time, whether it's once a week, once a month, however I build this out. But any kind of automated systems out there, or is your platform kind of giving independent operators kind of an edge on convenience with their time?
Yeah. So great question, because obviously, Brandon, I mean, dude, you guys have so much on your plate, right? It's so hard to run a successful restaurant. And one of the things that we found is that the most successful restaurants prioritize the things that are most important for them, right? So, for example, we've seen people that if you just take 30 minutes on a slow time of the week and you book 30 minutes and it is you cannot change that, and you
Block,
send out a text message. Oh, sorry, what was that, Eric?
block that time.
Yes, like block the time, have that 30 minutes, and it's really simple to come up with a text message. And because all you got to do is, whether you want to send it once a week or every other week, just block that time and start to do it. And the thing that I said that, earlier, that was like, that's really cool about all this is that with texting, it's going to take a little bit to grow that database, right, Brandon? And so what you'll want to do is start somewhere, start a platform, use a platform that's easy to use. And most of the ones I said are, like I said, are easy to use. And what you want to do is just send it out, start collecting, start sending, and see what works. Because if you're sending out a text message to 100 people, I mean, even if it's a crazy, amazing deal, if they could only redeem it with a link, and you're not at risk of them sharing it online and posting a picture, and all of a sudden you're getting thousands of redemptions. If you're not at risk for that, then be aggressive, start sending it, and you can test it out. And it will be a slow start, but I'm telling you, it works. It works every time. I have yet to see texting not work for a restaurant. It's just a matter of making sure that you're saying the right things to the right people and you're getting the right permissions. And so it really is. And the other nice thing is that with those blast messages, like I was talking about, every single platform will allow you to schedule out. So you can send out a message. You can set up a message that will get sent out in a week or in 2 weeks, and then set it and forget it when you're on vacation. But and again, okay, you also said you're afraid that it's going to work too well. Well, the nice thing is that as your database grows, what you'll be able to do is send less aggressive offers if you want to get less people in the door, right? That's your lever, because 98% of people that you send it to are going to see it. So who's going to take action on it? The more aggressive the offer, the more people are going to take action on it. So if you're worried about too many people coming in and you have a text database of 10,000 people for your one location, then send a 20% off offer, and get that 4% redemption rate. And don't be worried about, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to overstaff, and I'm, because then that's dealing with that headache isn't something that you want to do as well. Or you could send messages to come in at inconvenient times, send it to come in between the lunch and dinner rush. And so it keeps more of a flat. Send it to pre-order a Mother's Day dinner, right? You could do these things that are actionable now, but you can prepare for, so that way it's not going to be as, as tough as like a 50-person line out the door. And now you have to deal with angry customers. Now you got to give away free stuff to comp them for, them being all pissed off, right? So there's a smart way to do it. And like you said, it's, you are so busy, but Brandon, you're here because you care, and you're here because you want to improve your restaurant, which is awesome, right? Which is all of our goals here. But you got a lot on your plate. I would say if you could just take a little bit of time each week and work on a text, it happens. I mean, I do that as a CEO of Ovation. I send out a weekly email, and we send out, occasionally we'll send out text messages, but for our platform, we don't have anything that we want someone to take an action on today, right? To our customers. We just want to make sure we use our platform to make sure that our customers are happy with Ovation. But when it comes to the email, like I have got a weekly time that I have blocked on my calendar that is to send out my weekly message that I compose and I send out, because I have so many awesome conversations with people, and I want to be able to share that with my email list, right? So anyway, that's what I would say, Brandon. And there's lots of low effort ways to get started, but the key is doing it. So Thumbs up.
Thank you, Brandon and Wes. I'm gonna see if I can't come back to you. Looks like you've solved your problem. I do see you too, Rory. I haven't forgotten you.
So I'm a bit new to and really trying to get my feet underneath me and start up. So I've got some questions about cost and sort of marketing budget. So you mentioned that text messaging marketing is going to be more expensive than emails, and I'm kind of curious what I should expect to pay, sort of typically on average. And I'm also curious what your thoughts are on what percentage of my marketing budget you think would be effective to utilize sort of text message marketing.
Great questions there. First of all, let's start with the last question. What percentage? I think it's one of those things where because you're going to start. Well, first of all, let me just ask: do you already have a text database?
No, so I'm starting out. So we just went live on our social media marketing. We're working on a location, and once we get the location confirmed, we're going to start ramping up a lot more intensive on building awareness. But as we do that, we're going to be transitioning at some point towards, building loyalty once we've built awareness. So I think the text message marketing makes a ton of sense for us as to get started on early to maintain loyalty. But so my question is more for me a couple months down the road, but still.
Right. Well, one thing that I would say that some of our customers have done very successfully is they put up a giant banner saying, get a free pretzel when we open, text pretzel to this number, right? So that's a great way to build up your text database before you even launch, especially on social media. You could do that same thing. Type in your number here to get updates on when we open, things like that. And then as you get started, in terms of percentage, it's tough to say because it's all about what's working for you and for your business. I don't think there's a hard and fast rule of you need to spend 10% on social media and 20% on ads, because it's like, what is social media, right? Is that paying for someone to post it? Is that paying for tools to post, to schedule? Anyway, so what I would say is there's the social, the email, the texting, the loyalty component, and looking at that and testing out really early on what's going well and what do you need to improve on. And then in terms of cost, I mean, you'll see text message that goes anywhere from 1 penny to 5 cents per text message, and you're going to get bulk rate. So the more you spend, obviously, the more text messages you're sending out, the less expensive per text that is going to become. So, the nice thing is that we have a customer who sent out 1,000 text messages, cost them $20 to send that out, and they got over $2,000 in revenue, right? So it's like, hey, for $20, is it worth $2,000 in revenue? Yeah. For if I sent out $20 of text messages and no one came in, then sure, it's not worth it. So that's why it's kind of hard to say the percentage, because it depends on your list and it depends on how successful and how active your customers are at using those texts.
And as I start, I'm also not going to have an extensively large list. So if it's 5 cents a message, you're talking about something that's kind of an insignificant cost.
Exactly. Yeah, you send out 1,000 text messages at 5 cents a message. You get one person that comes in, and it's worth it to like break even, right? But you're going to get a lot more than one person coming in from 1,000 text messages going out, unless you totally ignored everything that we talked about in this in this webinar podcast.
Thank you, Wes, for your question. And Rory, we have time for one more. If you still have your question, I know you put your hand down, but maybe your question. Yeah. Go for it.
Okay. Well, hey, Zach. What's up?
Yeah. First of all, Rory, what's up? It's so good to see you again.
Let me see if I can turn on my video here. Oh, hey.
No, there you are. I know. I salivate every evening as I'm going through my Instagram, and I just see these delicious donuts.
Sorry.
Like, oh.
I love following Ethan, by the way, from Thirst.
Isn't he so fun?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talk about that's actually someone, he does a great job at, using our texting tools. He is someone who sets aside time to do it. He's got the hustle.
He gets it.
You
Yeah.
want to talk about energy? Check out Ethan from Thirst. He is rock star.
Yes. So, okay, I had a question for you about the content of the text messages, because one of the programs I'm developing is about basically reviving catering sales for restaurants, but bakeries and cafes more specifically. And instead of saying something like, hey, did you know we now cater, where there's no CTA, would you still recommend a message like, I've been talking about digital fish bowls. So you know how back in the day, you used to walk into a restaurant and put your business card into a physical bowl and you could win, a meal for your office.
Right.
So I've seen people start to do that digitally. I've seen places where they scan a QR code at the counter, and that will lead them to either a form or whatever to enter their information. Have any of your clients been doing that with catering?
So I would say, so we do have a client who, he doesn't have any physical locations.
Okay.
He's got 11 churro stands, right? And he's got a churro truck, and he does like big events and catering, and he does texting successfully. And it's just a matter of, when I said earlier on that it's not the place to let people know, hey, we do catering. It is a great place though, if there's a CTA.
Right, the call to action. Yeah.
Yes, we've got, get your Mother's Day dinner catered, right? You fill out this form or click here to place your order. Or if you wanted to say, something about like, do you have an office and want to, enter your name here for your chance to get free catering for your office. If you handle the catering, and it could take them to a Google form link.
Yes.
Where they can fill out their information. Stuff like that is totally fine, right? It's just a matter of, we need to just remember the purpose of texting, which is if you want them to take an action, you send them a text, right? That's the premise of it. And so if growing a catering business like that, I think is that's a great idea, because it gets to the whole point of segmentation, right, Rory, where you know exactly who to send what messages to. So sure, they could still get your twice a month message about come in for a $5 burrito, but then they also get a third message that you send once a month about catering. And here's our new catering menu. And, that way they can stay up to date on both lists. And if they want to opt out of one or the other, they can do that.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Great question.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. And I do have one more question before we say goodbye. It just popped into my head, and it's a model that I would love to see more restaurants take advantage of and just think outside the box as far as how we're creating channels of revenue. And that's the membership or subscription model. And I'm curious, have you seen people have success with using text messages to onboard and to promote these membership and subscription models?
Yes. I mean, again, it goes back to the whole, what are you asking them to do, right? And we've seen people that have been able to do very successful subscription models and even full loyalty programs just using phone numbers, right? And so arguably there are people out there, and I'm not saying don't have an app, but I'm just saying as a consumer who does a lot of research with consumers, I know there's a lot of app fatigue out there. And so a lot of people will use texting instead of their loyalty programs. And with subscription programs, the cool thing about that is getting that recurring revenue and just letting people know exactly what they're able to do. I think that's a huge opportunity. We specifically don't have any customers that do a that subscription service of pay $5 and you get a taco every month or whatever, taco every week, something like that. But I've seen other restaurants do that very successfully, and texting has been a huge proponent of, a huge reason of them helping to get the word out there, because they already have that text database. And just like you, Eric, right? You've got thousands of emails in your email database. The more that you build up that text database, the cool thing about that is it's not just an asset to drive revenue, but that is an asset that increases the value of your business, right? That is part of a successful business is having that customer database. And if your dream is to run it for the rest of your life, then get phone numbers, because that's how you can build a lot of loyalty and like that VIP list to get people to feel special and to come in. If you're planning on building up your restaurant and selling it off, then even more so get phone numbers, because that becomes something that you can sell with the brand.
Awesome stuff, Zach. Thank you so much. So all that's left to do is to really give you an opportunity to let us know how to connect with you. We also wrap up every episode by calling somebody out. So first, who do you respect and admire and believe would make a great guest mentor, a restaurateur that you think is just doing it right? If you found out this restaurateur was on my show, you'd be tuning in tomorrow.
Sean Walchef. I don't know if
definitely had Sean on the show. Sean's
a great one. There's another one, Righteous Slice, up in Boise, Idaho. Bill McDermott. He is phenomenal. Such a sharp guy. U.S. Air Force, retired. He is Harvard Business School, and he's a professor, but he also owns a restaurant and just uses that restaurant as textbook case study material. He is a complete awesome guy.
And his name one more time?
I just want to make sure that I am pronouncing his last name correctly. Bill. I just know him as Bill from Righteous Slice. He's like
Righteous Slice. Look up, man. We're coming after you. And if we connect with you, if we have follow-up questions, maybe we're interested in Ovation. What's the best way to connect?
So you can feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Zack Oates, ZACKOATES, and or you can email me, Zack, ZACK @ovationup.com. And by the way, his name is Bill Crawford. It just popped in my head. I finally remembered it. Bill Crawford, really, really awesome guy. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me. Love to connect with people on LinkedIn. Love to chat. Love to stay up to date. Love to get people's feedback on what's going on in the industry, and would love to have them as guests as well. Rory came onto my podcast, and she's a total rock star.
You didn't do your podcast, bro. Let us know how to listen.
Oh yeah. Dude, come check it out. You know, when get your dinner here and come get dessert over there at Give an Ovation. You could find the podcast at ovationup.com, and then on the top you just click on podcast and it will take you right there.
Beautiful. Zach, thank you so much for taking the time to enlighten us around text message marketing. I'm sure this is just the beginning of our relationship, and there is no questioning, my man. You are unstoppable.
Thank you, Eric. You too, man. Here we go.